Welcome to the Inspire and Learn series. We are the Multi-Hull Group, a multi-award winning dealership in Australia, specialising in catamarans. Join us as our expert team teach you all about anchoring, docking, rigging, sail trim, maintenance, and so much more, so you can build confidence in your catamaran handling ability. In this episode, Joe Fox teaches you how to put a reef in your mainsail. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome back to another Inspire and Learn episode with the Multi-Hull Group. Today we're on the Lagoon 42 and we're going to be looking at reefing and why you use your reefing lines, how the single line reefing on a Lagoon 42 is run, and the processes involved with lowering the sail to reduce your sail area when the wind strength builds. We're going to head to a mooring today to demonstrate the reefing on the mainsail. This will make it a little bit easier just for pointing out the individual parts of the reefing system. Now, it's understandable that you may be in a little bit more wind when you are reefing, but we'll talk you through what to do and how to operate the systems to effectively reef in a range of wind conditions. So the reason we reef on a catamaran like this is to reduce the stresses and strains on the rig. Obviously, as the wind builds, the pressure in the shrouds and the forestay and the whole structure of the boat is increased. So we decrease the sail area using something called single line slab reefing on this Lagoon 42. And that reduces the windage of the boat on the rig and also reduces the tension in the shrouds, the lines, all your running gear, just allowing you to more safely navigate in high wind strengths. Now, each boat is different, and it's important that you look in the manual of your boat for the wind ratings per reef. So on this boat, I go to the manual and I look for the first reef, X amount of wind is my cutoff, and so all the way up to reef 3. So we've just hoisted the mainsail, and for the purposes of this demonstration, we've rolled up the boom bag. So this is normally a bag, catches the sail when it comes down. So just to show you through the reefing lines, we've stored it away so that you can see the foot of the sail and all the reefing lines, which are these ones. So single line slab reefing, there are 3 points attaching a mainsail to a boat. You have the head at the very top and the tack at the front, and then along the back of the foot of the sail and the clew. The other line we're going to use for this exercise is also the main halyard. Now, it's one of the most important lines on the boat. It lifts the mainsail all the way up to the top of the mast. On a lagoon, it's normally black. It varies from boat to boat, but this is the other half, if you like, of the single line reefing system, which we'll talk through now. So in terms of positioning the boat in relation to the wind before you conduct your reefing operation, you need to make sure that you take as much pressure or as much wind out of the sails as possible. Now, whether this is going head to wind or whether this is going close to the wind, still sailing maybe on the jib and easing the boom right out, this will reduce the pressure in the main, because the main will not fall down if it's got tension and wind in it or if you're close hauled. So position the boat in a way where the main is loose, not flat, not flogging too hard, because that can damage the sail. Just loose with not too much wind in it. So before actually conducting the first reef, we need to make sure that the lines are all free to run. So I'm taking out the halyard, making sure there are no knots or no kinks in it, because as I ease it out, I want it just to go nice and smoothly. I don't want to be trying to untie bowlines and half hitches as it's going through the winch, because that's not conducive to a successful reefing operation. This is the main sheet. I've eased off the main sheet, and the boom is nice and loose. So if we do get a gust of wind from the side, the main just moves with it. So it can be a good idea also with your main halyard, as you use your boat and as you work out your reefing points, to mark your main halyard. So we're going to drop the main halyard, which will in turn lower the mainsail. We need to get that to a very specific height, which we'll go up there and have a look at once I've dropped it. But in order to know when to stop letting out the halyard, once you've set your reef lines up a few times, it can be good just to mark your main halyard here, so you know for reefs 1, 2 and 3 where to drop to, so that you don't drop too far or to stop you dropping not enough. So we start lowering the main halyard, we undo the clutch and take the line out of the winch, and we lower away, and this brings the sail down. Now I'm either going to be looking at the sail, which will tell me when to stop, or I'll be looking for my mark on here. Now the mark can be tape, which often comes off, so I wouldn't advise using that, but a good solution is whipping twine. So you run it through the line a couple of times, and this is a really good way of marking the line, which still allows it to run through the blocks and winches. Okay, so I can see now that I'm in the right position. Pop it back on the winch, and so what I've done here is I've lowered the main down to what I think is the right level to pull in on the bottom line, the single line reef, and pull it tight at the bottom, having reduced the sail. So the next thing I do is to pull in on the reefing lines. Now this might be quite easy at first because there should be lots of slack because the main has come down a little bit on its own, but as it gets tighter I will need to put it into a winch and just pull it down nice and tight to pull the tack and the clue down close to the boom. Now let's go have a look upstairs and see how we've done it. So here at the back of the sail, we can see that the reefing line has gone really tight, and this black eye, which was previously 2 meters further up the sail, is now down and it's just off the boom. Now I'd say this is good in this position. If you come too far down, you'll get the eye touching on the boom, which may damage the boom or the eye itself. But in this position, it's being pulled down to the boom and also backwards, acting in a way as your out haul. Now moving forward to the front of the mainsail, we'll have a look at the single line reef here as well. So here at the front edge of the sail, we've got the black eye, which was previously about 2 meters further up, just like it was at the back edge of the boom. We've got the reefing line, which comes out of the boom, up to the eye, and then down to the spectacle in the rig. Now, in this configuration, it's pulling the sail down with this one, and it's also pulling the sail forward with this one. Now it's really important in this position to minimize chafing. So this setup here is how I'd set it if I was sailing the boat. If this eye comes too low, the angle on this line in relation to this spectacle here will be too sharp. It'll be too sharp going over that corner, and that might chafe, it might wear down the line, maybe even breaking it, which is what we definitely want to avoid. So in this setup, there's minimal chafe. The eye here is nice and high off the boom, not any contact with the boom, so there's no damage happening here at all. Now that we've done our first reef, we're going to have quite a bit more sail coming down when we do the next two. So I'm just going to put up the boom bag to catch it all and keep it looking tidy. But what's happening underneath is exactly the same. So we've had reef one in, we've been sailing along, lovely, but the wind is starting to build, so we need to put the second reef in. Now this operation is essentially identical to the first one. So it's a case of easing off the main, lowering it down and pulling in on the second reef. Reefs are very clearly marked, 1, 2 and 3, and they're also very different colours. So it's quite easy to tell which one's which. So to do this operation, we're taking the main out of the winch and I'm easing it down. Again, what I'll be looking for is the eye on the rig, or if I've already done it before and I've marked the halyard, the mark will be in the right place. I'll stop when the mark is just by the clutch and I'll know I've lowered enough. Once I've lowered on the main halyard, I'll then choose reef 2, which is this green one, and I'll pull in. So I'll pull in all the slack first. So then reef 2 goes in the winch and I wind it on nice and tight. Reef 2 is quite tight and I can see that the foot of the main is looking quite good and the leading edge of the sail is also quite nice and tight. So let's head up and have a look at how it's worked out. So here at the front edge of the mainsail, we've got the green line here, going through the eye, similar angle to last time through the spectacle, and then down. Reefing line goes into the boom, all the way to the back. So if I just pull down the boom bag, you'll be able to see here, there's our Reef 2 line, there's our black eye on the sail, and vertical pulls the sail down. This one goes back to the back of the boom, which pulls it nice and tight along the foot. Now that's also perfect. Nice big gap here at the bottom, gap's not too big. Okay, now you might have guessed it, there's one more to do, and that's Reef 3. Now, I think that we're all getting the hang of it by this stage, and Reef 3 is exactly the same as Reef 1 and 2. The sail's going to get even smaller, having taken in now 3 slabs. So, same as last time, the halyard comes down. Now during the reef, as you're dropping the halyard, the weight of the boom will go onto the topping lift, which is the line that holds the boom up at the back of the sail. Now this isn't a problem, it's designed to do that. So the topping lift stops the boom landing on the deck when the weight is off the halyard. When you do pull the halyard back on, or when the reefing line goes tight, the weight of the boom will then be hanging off the sail on the main halyard. Having lowered the main halyard, I'll then pull in on Reef 3. Again, same as last time, there'll be a fair bit of slack to pull through. That's normal. Can be quicker to do it by hand than on the winch. When it goes stiff, we load it on the winch handle in, and we grind away again, just like Reef 2, until we can feel it getting tight. Once it's tight, we'll go up and have a look and see that it's all set correctly. So at the front of the mast again, that eye, which was probably 6 or 7 meters up the sail now, it's all the way down here. So we've lost that much sail off the bottom. Through the spectacle, nice angles, not chafing, just like we talked about last time. All looking very good. You can see the old reefing line here, which is no longer under tension. That's Reef 2, which is now redundant because Reef 3 has come in above it. Let's have a look at the back, or the stern, I should say. Again, there we go, Reef 3, looking really nice. We can see old Reef 2. Now, no longer in use, Reef 3 is taken over. Again, pulling down to the boom and pulling back, tightening that foot really nicely. Now what we've got here, we've got a mainsail with the luff length, which is the forward edge. The luff is probably half the length it was at full sail, so this is massively reduced. Not only has it brought the sail down, the sail gets narrower as it gets to the top, so we've actually probably reduced by kind of up to 70%. So yeah, strong wind sailing, this is the sail to use. So thanks for joining us today on the Inspire and Learn series, looking at the reefing lines on a lagoon. We hope it's answered some of your questions. It is a topic that we talk about a lot. I think it can be quite a daunting prospect to a lot of people, but it's the kind of thing that once you do it, practice makes perfect, and it can become quite a familiar exercise in a range of wind conditions. So please do give us a like, subscribe on YouTube. It's great to hear your feedback from the videos. We've had some great responses so far. If you do have any questions or requests, do write a comment below, and we'll, myself or Marnie will endeavour to get back to you as quick as possible. Thank you very much.
Join us in the next episode for more inspirational and educational catamaran content. See you then!